Hi guys, it's Amy with Aim to Plan, and today I am back with my memory books with a little bit of a different video. So on Thursdays, I normally post a memory book plan with me, or at least I have for the past couple of weeks for 2024, but I thought I would do a little bit of a different video today. We are now at the point where I have basically stopped doing my memory book for 2023. And so my goal from this point forward is to be able to do 2023 pages as well as 2024 pages. And so I did go ahead and start looking at the photos and printing out photos. And with that process, I just realized that it takes a lot longer to do both years, plus two girls. So it's basically four memory books all in one video. And so as I was recording the last video, the plan with me, I thought it was just too long. So I scratched that video basically, and I thought what I would do instead is kind of talk to you about how I set up my memory books for success, and how I've kind of put it together so that way I can work on them and not feel overwhelmed with all of the different pieces that I have in place. So it's, again, like I said, more so my process for planning in my memory books. So just to start off with, I do have two daughters, and I do a memory book for each of them. And so what I like to do for Sophia and for Rose, my two daughters, is I like to have their memory book be 1 year. And so the way that I usually do it is pick a planner and use that planner for 12 months. Even if it's an 18-month planner, I do only use it for 12 months, and I just switch out into a new planner for the next 12 months. Now for Sophia was born at the very beginning of January, and so for her planner, I started it at her birth, actually a little bit before her birth, but basically from her birth until her first birthday, January until December / beginning of January, I have kept in one book. So that's one single year, the 12 months, and I've just kind of put those books together. Or I'll post a photo showing you what they look like sitting on the shelf, but I do, generally speaking, break them down into different volumes or different sets, and just keep the same pages with a similar look across the different volumes. Yeah, and that's just kind of how I do it. Now for Rose was born in December, and one of the things that I decided to do for Rose is, instead of doing a January to December planner, I've decided to do a December to November planner, so that way her entire first year from birth until her first birthday is together in one book, and then her entire first year or second year, like when she's one, is all together. So that's kind of how I've done it. And again, I'll post a photo of what her little stash of memory books looks like. Hers is much smaller because I am still working on basically when she was 2 months and forward. So I have very few done pages for Rose, but yeah, that's the first thing is I basically just do an entire year, and I feel like that works out well for them to basically be baby books or children's books, kids books, memory books. I think it works to go from birthday to birthday. Now, one thing that I did do is I decided to go ahead and combine the memory book pages that I'm working on. And so initially I had a 2023 memory book and then a 2024 memory book, but it was just getting to the point where, I'm pulling out multiple planners, and including these memory books, and it was just a lot of fiddling around with it. And so I did decide to move them together, combine them onto the same set of discs. I did use expander discs for them. And so here's is Sophia and here's is Rose. I did also pick a specific color for them. So Rose is really Sophia is really into a baby pink color. I don't have any pink expander discs, at least not baby pink, so I decided to go with rose gold for her. And then Rose, I went with this kind of strawberry red color, and I'm more easily able to find it when it's sitting on the shelf. So it does sit on a shelf in my planner space, just kind of like this, and I can just kind of look at the discs and be able to pull it down off the shelf. Now, with that being said, I did combine them, and so what I did was keep all of the covers with each of the books. And then what I have in here are all of the pages that I have not finished. So because this is kind of like the beginning of February, I wanted to show you what February 2023, like basically a whole year ago, looked like, and kind of talk to you again about like what I do to keep on track. Well, I haven't kept on track really well, but like what are some of the things that I do to make sure that I'm able to go back and document these things. What I do for the memory books, and you'll see this in Roses as well, is I do put a photo a day. Now, a lot of this is just photos that I have taken. They tend to be overflow photos. They tend to be photos that are specifically like, just Sophia, or like photos that I get as screenshots from other people. So those are the ones that I tend to put in here. But I also do like to put photos into the weeklies. Now, Sophia in 2023 was 6, and I did decide to use a horizontal layout for her, and I've put fewer photos. I still do have photos, but they are fewer. And so it was more so like I was going with the idea of like journaling a lot more. And so for Sophia, at least, I was laying down a lot of stickers beforehand, as you can see here, and then I would just use the extra spaces just to journal. But over time, I just kind of fell off of doing it. But this is kind of what February looks like. And this is where I stopped, is basically the end of February. So I'll, in fact, flip through a little bit of March as well. You can see I don't have any photos here. And then I did start taking notes on sticky notes and things like that, and starting writing down events from my personal planner in here. But then after that, like I basically stopped right here. This is the last divider that I have in here, so this must be the very last page, right? And then after that, it's done. So what are some of the things that I do to stay on track? First of all, I of course am a planner myself, and so I do have my own planner. And a lot of times if I'm starting to fall behind, I do start taking notes on sticky notes or just directly into my personal planner to use in the girls' memory books. And so I do a lot of times go back into my personal planner and reference the same week for what's happening, like some of the events. Maybe I put notes for the girls in there, like some of the quotes and things like that I had for Sophia. Those are written into my personal planner, and I just transferred them over after the fact. And so that's kind of what I do. I also do like to put photos in here. So a lot of what I do is just use the photos to try to recall what happened. Now, again, I'm going to flip through Rose. And for Rose, she is a baby. At least in 2023, she was in February, like 2 months old. And so she was not talking, she was not moving too much. So it's going to be very photo heavy, which is different than what I had for Sophia. And so here for Rose, I was using a classic vertical. And so I put just a lot of photos, and I did decorate this week. I actually just did this. This is the one that I basically scrapped the video for, but I just laid down all the photos and then just put stickers all around it, and there are a couple of notes. Now, because I'm doing it like a whole year in it after the fact, a lot of times I don't remember like any major like journal-y type details. Like I can't like talk about or journal about some of these big events that are happening. Like, I mean, I know that my sister and my mom and my niece came and visited, and we decorated the golf cart, but that's pretty much it. I don't remember any like of those kind of story type things to journal about them, but I think that's okay too. But this was a note that was in my personal planner. This was in my personal planner. This note was in my personal planner. So I just kind of pull the notes and write it like that. I also, as you can see here, try to keep up with memory planning by like writing myself sticky notes. You saw that in Sophia's as well. In Sophia's, I kind of just left the sticky notes in there. I need to transfer them over and just make them neater. And same thing here with Rose. I need to take these sticky notes and kind of transfer them into like actual notes for her. But I've already gone through and put photos down. And I really, really think that is easiest to put photos down first and then kind of journal around it and make note of big events after the photos go down. And so that's kind of what I do for Rose. For Sophia, I do a little bit of a different method just because I just don't take as many photos of her because she's not a baby. But for Rose, I definitely take a lot of photos. And so here in March, as I mentioned with Sophia, I haven't taken any photos. or like printed out any photos. This is like the end of February, and then after that it's just empty, right? So you can see how far behind I am. I'm basically, again, as I mentioned, I'm going to try to do 2023 pages at the same time, like within the same week as the 2024 week. So that's my goal. Now, these two books, and starting basically in February for both books, for 2023 and then February 2024. I'll be doing the months and the weeks concurrently, and so that's my goal. These are all of the pages that I still need to finish. So as you could see, in February at least, I did lay down a bunch of photos and kind of get started with putting stickers and notes and journaling type stuff. And again, that's what I was doing before this video. Also, like, some of these notes are from 2023 as well. So I did kind of partially do it in 2023, trying to keep up, but now I'm going back in and actually finishing it. So I'm adding all the rest of the notes. I'm putting in any final photos, any final journaling that I want to have, and then adding the stickers. Now for Sophia, I sometimes let her, like in this page, I let her decorate. So I just, again, I kind of work around the stickers. So I like to lay down stickers for her first, and I might switch that as I continue doing the memory books. But for Rose, I lay down the photos first, and then I put in the events and things like that. And again, those things I do pull from my personal planner. And these two books, and all of these pages, this stack of basically like 20 something months, and this of 20 something months, like those 2 years, are the books that I'm still working on. These pages are not finished. Now, final little step for me at least, and again, I showed you the photo earlier, but I'll show it again to you, is that I do like to coordinate the look of each year. So for Rose, her covers, I actually got 2 of these covers, and I'm going to put her pages on classic size discs. I use only classic size when I archive, and so I put it on classic size discs, and I use the same cover. Now if I need an additional cover, like a third cover, then I'll use one that has like a leopard print style. Again, I just like to coordinate it. It doesn't have to match perfectly, but I definitely want it to look similar to like each other, at least within a year. And so her first year of life will have kind of like this purple leopard style. And so I do have, again, 2 covers. If I need a third, I'll pull another like leopard style from my stash and use that, but I'll still use like gold discs to match it. And so I'll show you just January in here, but these are all of the completed pages. Okay, these are all the pages that I finished. What I have for Rose is a more extended, like, pregnancy book. So I have a pregnancy journal. Again, I'll just like kind of pull it off the shelf and show that to you and put a photo in here. But I started off with her birth story, and there's lots of notes here, like all the hospital notes. I actually wrote out her birth story. All of those things are in this, like, this giant stack right here. And so then after her birth, I went into like the actual monthly pages, the planner pages, and same kind of thing where it's a photo a day. I just pick something that's an overflow, and then I just do the pages, all right? And it just kind of goes from there. And again, for Rose, I'll lay down the photos first and just kind of journal after the fact, right? And I wanted to show you January just because this is what I literally just finished this morning. And so I put down all the photos here, and then I've got like, again, like photos, and then there's a couple of notes that I pulled from my planner that I wanted to get in here. Some of them are like really random, like, again, a baby pretty much just eats, sleeps, and poops, right? So a lot of the notes are related to that. Like, she went up to a size 1 diaper, there's photos, and then I just put some light, like, decoration around it, right? Again, just pictures first, events next, stickers last for her. Right, I'll have to blur that out. It's just notes from a baby shower that our church gave to like hosted for us. And this page I literally just finished like 30 minutes ago. So this is, again, putting down photos, putting down the journaling, and then adding stickers to just kind of finish off the spread, right? And then the very last one is the February page. I will probably go back in and update this, but for right now, I'm calling it done. And I'm just going to keep it simple and just add these like 4 additional photos that didn't fit into the weekly spread. I just stuck it in here. Now this book right now are all the pages that I've completed. That does not mean that I can't go back in here and add photos. certainly I can do that, especially if, like, for example, I get someone who sends me like a random like stash of photos, or like sometimes, you know, like you do Time Hop, and like my family does Time Hop kind of photo type things, and so it'll be like, oh, a year ago this happened, and so if I never received that photo, then I can just go, oh, okay, it was a year ago, I'll stick it in for a year ago. And so that's what I do for these. I have the same thing for Sophia, and hers is done, and her February is mostly done, but like you can see here, hers is much emptier, so it's just a different style. But again, these notes, this actually was very good about keeping up in January, so these are just notes that I wrote directly in here. But moving into the next couple of months, I'll have to blur that out. I will have to basically, you know, pull the notes out of my planner, and just kind of go with that. Now hers tends to be like you can already see, it's like lots of like different mix of like, there's pages and pictures and all sorts of stuff that's kind of stuck in here, and so I'm okay with that, but it tends to bulk up really quickly, so I'll probably have to split hers up into like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 different volumes. That's what those photos I showed you, you can see like they are coordinated, so each little set that looks a little bit like that look the same, those go together, and then the next set will look very different, but those sets are like in volumes like that, so hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, I don't know, I just got caught up in doing the video, and then I realized it was just a very long video, and I was kind of like all over the place too. It was not the greatest video of me doing the plan with me for the last week of January, so I decided to do this video instead. So hopefully just talking out my process for doing this was helpful to you. It's just the way that I do memory planning. It's definitely not the way that I would recommend doing it for anyone. I mean, certainly if you can keep up with it and make sure that you're getting in here and doing it regularly, that is most helpful. But I also find it really helpful to just know that sometimes you fall behind, and it's okay, and you can definitely catch up. And I'm going to task myself now, at least, because I'm definitely jumping into February and needing to catch up for 2 years, and it's 2 years in 2 different memory books. I need to give myself the time and the space to do that, and keep it as simple as possible, so that way I'm not overwhelmed with the process. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video, bye guys.